Hey y'all, it's Robin. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going over a whole bunch of November releases. I have no idea how November is here. I have been making these new release videos for a full year now, which is absolutely insane. But if you haven't caught one of my new releases before, I will link the playlist up in the cards and down in the description box. But every single month I make a list of my most anticipated releases for the month. This month is packed with new releases. Unlike the last couple of months, I have 15 books to talk about. So this list is pretty long, so let's get right into it. Right away on November 1st, there are 6 books coming out that I am really anticipating. I don't know why this is such a big release day, but there are some gems coming out on this day. So first is The Wicked Remain by Laura Pohl, which I have already read. This is the sequel to Grimrose Girls. This is a YA fantasy duology, and this is the conclusion. This follows a group of girls at this elite boarding school set in Switzerland, and all of them are based off of fairy tale princesses, and they are all destined for the bad endings of their fairy tales. And this duology is them trying to figure out how they can get their happily ever afters. I really enjoyed this end to this duology. I'm really excited to pick up a finished copy and have it on my shelves. After that is Kiss Her Once for Me by Alison Cochrun, and this is the follow-up to The Charm Offensive, which was one of my favorite books, I think, of last year. And this one is a female-female romance. This is actually a holiday romance, and in this one we are following a woman who decides to fake date her landlord and then ends up falling for his sister. That is all I know about it. That is all I needed to know about it. I love the idea of this like little twist on fake dating. I am excited to start diving into holiday books soon. Another holiday romance I have on my list is Very Merry Bromance by Lyssa K. Adams. This is the next book in the Bromance book club series. This is Colton's romance, who is a country musician, and I believe he has a romance with a woman who is trying to hire him to be like the face of her parents' company, I believe. That's all I really know about this one. Each of these books follows a group of friends who all read romances to help them with their love life, and I have really enjoyed the series. I think it's cute and fun and lighthearted. And then the last holiday romance on this day is How to Excavate a Heart by Jake Mia Arlow. This is a sapphic YA romance. This is on the older end of YA. Both of these characters are in college, I believe, and I believe both of the main characters are also Jewish. I think one of them is on an internship and ends up hitting the other main character with their car, and it is an enemies to lovers romance, and I believe there is like a snowed in trope at one point. And even though I don't read a lot of YA romance, this synopsis hits a lot of my buzzwords, so I'm interested in giving this one a try. Also on November 1st is Paris Daillencourt is About to Crumble by Alexis Hall. This has gotten pushed back a couple of times. I feel like I've talked about this in like maybe 2 or 3 of my new releases videos, but this is the next book in the, I don't know what the title of this is, but book 1 was Rosaline Palmer Takes the Cake. This is a rom-com following this baking competition. I believe one of our characters is pretty insecure about his baking, and he ends up getting entered into this competition, and they have like a rivals to lovers romance, a competitors to lovers romance. It sounds really cute. Baking competitions aren't usually my thing. However, I absolutely love Alexis Hall, so I'm pretty much willing to read anything that he writes, including a baking competition romance, and this one is finally coming out on November 1st. The final book on November 1st is A Restless Truth by Freya Marske, and this is the follow-up to Marvelous Light, which was another one of my favorite books of last year, and I am insanely excited for this book. This is another sapphic romance. Apparently November 1st is the day of sapphic romances, but this one is a historical fantasy romance, and in this book, one of the heroines is the sister of one of the heroes from book 1, and she has recently discovered that magic is real, and now she is on this ship to the US, like crossing the Atlantic, and I believe that she discovers that a murder happens on the ship, and she has to work with a magician, I think, in order to figure out what is happening on the ship and take down the murder. I love how this world mixes in the historical Victorian era with magicians. I think it is such a fun and unique take on historical romance, and I really love the writing. I love this world, and I cannot wait to be back with these characters. On to November 8th, we have 3 books. First up is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree, and this is the trade publish date for this book. If you don't know, this book got insanely popular, I think it was last year, and it ended up getting picked up by Tor, and now it is going to be out in the world at all the bookstores, and I am really excited for this one. I haven't read this yet, but I do have an arc of this, and I am really excited to give it a read. I have heard nothing but good things about it. This is supposed to be like a really cozy fantasy romance. I believe in this. We are following an orc who is kind of done with her warrior life and just wants to settle down and open up a coffee shop, but nobody knows what coffee is, and it is a sapphic romance between them and somebody that is working at the coffee shop, and it sounds adorable. I'm really excited for this. Then we have Better Than Fiction by Alexa Martin. I have read Alexa Martin's football romances and I really liked them. And I believe this is an enemies to lovers romance set at a bookstore. If I'm remembering correctly, I think the heroine ends up inheriting a bookstore and she doesn't really like reading. She doesn't want this bookstore, and it is her falling for a romance author. So this sounds really good. I really like romances that are set like around the book community. There is something that is just like inherently relatable in those types of books. And then lastly, another one of my most anticipated books is Bloodmarked by Tracey Deonn. This is so outside of the realm of what I normally read. However, Legendborn was one of my favorite books the year that it came out, and I am ridiculously excited for the sequel. That ending in Legendborn blew my mind, and I need to know what happens next. I'm actually rereading book 1 right now. If you somehow haven't heard of this series, it is following our heroine who enters into an early college program after her mother dies, and on her first night there, she ends up witnessing magic. And she ends up getting pulled into this secret organization, all surrounding the legend of Arthur and the magical creatures and beings and powers that come along with that, and slowly discovering how she is tied to this organization. It is twisty and turny and super fantastical, and I absolutely love it. I love these characters. I love Tracey Deonn's writing. I'm so excited to figure out what comes next in this series. On November 10th is an indie pubbed book, and that is What Was Meant to Be by QB Tyler. QB Tyler writes some really fantastic forbidden taboo romances, and they usually involve cheating, so just know that going in. And this is definitely the case with this one. I think this one is a second chance romance, but when the heroine and the hero meet for the second time, the heroine is engaged. And I think it is their romance. QB Tyler somehow can convince me to get on board with these types of romances. I don't know how she does it, so I'm really excited to give this one a try. On November 15th is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan, which is another one of my most anticipated books. I feel like I say that all the time, but I am so excited for this book. This is another second chance romance, and this is following 2 older characters. They were married and they got divorced, and it is their second chance romance. Kennedy Ryan has been doing a bunch of teasers with the tropes, and this has a only one bed trope that is kind of like the catalyst for their second chance romance. And I am a sucker for the only one bed trope. Pretty much all you have to do to get me to read a book is tell me that there's the only one bed trope, and I am in it. And the fact that that is like the catalyst for their second chance romance has me so excited. I absolutely cannot wait. Kennedy Ryan is another author with just like the most stunning writing, and I fall in love with her romances. I'm sure this one will hurt me. Her books always hurt me, but I am so excited to get my hands on this one. On November 22nd is another 2 books that I'm really excited for. First up is Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail by Ashley Herring Blake, and this is the sequel to Delilah Green Doesn't Care, which came out earlier this year, and this is following the stepsister of Delilah. I believe in this one, she is an interior designer, and it is her romance with the female carpenter that is flipping this house with her. And I'm so excited to get Astrid's romance because Astrid is this super like tightly wound, uptight person, and I'm excited to see her get undone by female Carpenter. And then we have Two Wrongs Make a Right by Chloe Lyssa, and this is Chloe's first traditionally published romance, and I am so excited. These two people get set up on a really terrible blind date, and in order to get back at their friends, they decide to pretend that the date went amazing and that they're together now so that they can have a very epic breakup to get back at their friends. And of course, they end up falling in love. Chloe Lyssa always has fantastic main characters with really amazing representation. I think it is going to be fantastic. And then the final release day is November 29th, and I actually have 2 YA books on this day, which is shocking. I don't read that much YA, so the fact that I have multiple on this list is really surprising. First is Saint by Adrienne Young. This is the prequel to the Fable duet, which I really, really loved. And this is actually the romance of Fable's parents. If you have read that duet, you know that like the romance between her parents was a pretty big portion of the duet, and I'm excited that we get to see it on page happening. And then the second one is A Wilderness of Stars by Shea Ernshaw, which is just an author that I will read absolutely anything from. It doesn't matter what age range or genre she writes in, I'm going to read Shea Ernshaw's books. Her books are always insanely atmospheric and lyrical and beautiful, and this one is a sci-fi, and I believe this one follows a world where a pandemic has kind of taken out a lot of the world and a lot of people are sick, and our heroine is an astronomer who can read the stars. I believe that the stars hold the secret to how to cure the illness that is like wreaking havoc on the world. And our heroine has to team up with this crew of people to try and figure out how to save humanity. I am sure that this is another book that is going to hurt me. Like I said, Shea Ernshaw's writing is always really beautiful. I love her lush settings. And even though I never read sci-fi, I will make an exception for Shea Ernshaw. So that is all 15 books that I currently have on my anticipated releases for November. Every single time I make this video, I always end up finding out about a book I'm excited for like a day or two later. So you can check out the description box for any additional books that I may have just learned about. But let me know if any of these are on your anticipated releases. Let me know if there's any extra books that I should add to that description box down below, and I will catch you all in my next video. Bye.